Welcome back to the channel. I'm Shango, a creative from Jamaica. This is ETT. I'm talking about the Zhiyun Smooth 4. This is one of Zhiyun's latest mobile gimbal. What a mobile gimbal is, a gimbal that allows you to use a mobile phone on it to give you that smooth footage from your mobile phone. It's more for a mobile content creator, a more pro mobile content creator. Reason being, it has a lot of features packed into it. The thing you need to do when you get this gimbal is to download the Z Play app from your app store, whether you're on Android or you're on iOS. Obviously, I am on iOS. I had the app before because I have used Zhiyun gimbals before. But once you download the app, install the app will open up a lot of features. However, this gimbal, you can use it straight out of the box. So the reason why you can use it straight out of the box is that you can just put your phone on it, press the power button, start it up, and you can start to use the gimbal. Now, to really get full use of this gimbal, I recommend to get the app, because what the app allows you to do is control a lot more features in your phone with the app. For instance, you can control focusing with the focus wheel. You can control zoom with the focus or the zoom wheel focus rocker, whichever one you want to call it. You can also go into more in-depth setting. For instance, you want to do panoramic shots or you want to do active tracking. This gimbal allows all of that. Once you dive into the menu, so it has some button on it, and if you look on the front of the gimbal, you will realize that you have a menu button, you have a display button, you have this cross arrow with a circle, which that button allows you to toggle between the focus and the zoom. You also have the picture button, which allows you to take pictures. Also have recording button. That button is to basically record while you're using the gimbal. However, with the testing that I was doing, I realized that there's some stuff in there, especially when you're going to more in-depth setting in the camera, that you actually have to use the camera icon button to start it. For instance, you're doing a time lapse, you'd possibly think that you would use the regular button to start it, or you're doing slow motion. So you'll find all of these features in the menu in the camera toggle. So when you're going to the menu, you will see a lot of different toggle, and you will see camera, you will see resolution, and there are a whole lot of them going across. When you go in there now, it allows you to access more in-depth features with the gimbal. Now, in this circular area in the middle, you have a button that can turn on the flash or put the flash in auto. It means that it flashes when you take a picture. Gimbal, you still have some other stuff that you can do. You have a little icon with a camera and two circles. What that allows you to do is to switch from the front facing camera to the back camera. You also have the play button. Everybody know what a play button does on cameras. It allows you to access your footage. You have, I think that is a display, not really a display button, but that the one at the top allows you to see the settings, whatever setting you're in, whether you're in 4K, 1080p, whatever setting you're shooting at. In the menu, you press that button, it goes straight to the setting. On the front of the gimbal also, you have PF and L. PF, I can pan follow. So PF means pan follow. So when I pan with the gimbal, it actually follows. Then you bring it down to L, and this actually locks the pan. When you're doing certain shots, for instance, you want to go in a straight line, you don't want the gimbal to move just in case you move your hand. You want to lock the gimbal so that when you're walking in a straight line, the gimbal just stays in the straight line, and you realize wherever the gimbal is, when I click the lock, it stays there. If I go back to pan follow, you realize it basically follows whenever I pan. It doesn't move up and down though, it just follows the pan. The next thing that I like with this gimbal, and why I consider this gimbal a more gateway gimbal for a mobile content creator who possibly in the future would be using a gimbal such as the Crane S2 or the Weeble gimbal. This has a lot of features that are similar to that. If you notice on the gimbal, you have a locking mechanism here, and you also have a locking mechanism there. that allows you to put much more heavier setup on it. It even comes with a counterbalance. The counterbalance allows you to put much more heavier setup. This phone is a 8 Plus and it's basically a big phone, and because it's a big phone I had to extend this out to the fullest so that it can stay balanced. Probably, I'm sure you have seen it and I'll show it in the video. You realize that even though the gimbal is on, sometimes you see the phone slap down. What that actually means is that the motor is under pressure and it is not balanced correctly. So when you're using a heavy phone on it, you want to extend this part so that the heavy phone can work. I really like this gimbal and have been enjoying the gimbal, testing it just to feel out all the features of it. So far I am quite impressed. I have some issues with it though, because as a mobile gimbal, how they allow you to charge your phone while using the gimbal. So when you get the gimbal, you get 2 cables in the box. You get a USB-A to a lightning cable, which allows you to charge an iPhone. You get a USB-A to a USB-C cable, which allows you to charge more like a USB-C phone. I know that most Android phones nowadays have USB-C, but if you don't have a phone that have USB-C, you will not necessarily have a charging cable for the phone. I don't like how them implement the charging cable connection for the phone, because what happened with the charging cable connection is that it actually pushed the phone way over, because the charging cable goes in between here and the gimbal. So now you have something that is pushing the phone far over, which means you have to use the counterbalance while using the charging cable. And using the counterbalance sometimes is cumbersome. You have to basically put on the counterbalance and you have to try and figure out what amount of weights it needs to work. It's cumbersome. You want your mobile gimbal to try and be as simple as possible when you're using the gimbal. And as I said, this is more a professional mobile gimbal. It's not the simple mobile gimbal that you can go on Amazon and pick up for probably like $30, $40, $50. This gimbal actually costs about $90 to $100 US. That's the reason why Zhiyun packs so many features in this gimbal to make it a more rounded mobile gimbal. Comes with its faults. You have stuff on it that I don't like. However, wholeheartedly, I would say I like this gimbal, and that's the reason why I actually have this gimbal here. I recommended this gimbal to a friend to purchase it. As you can see, it's right here. So the friend purchased it and now I'm doing a review on it. So this gimbal also comes with a plate in the box that works with a GoPro. Here is the GoPro on the plate. However, I realize that this is possibly a limitation, because it seems as if this only works with GoPro in the form factor of the EOS 7, probably EOS 6, EOS 8, depends if EOS 8 is the same form factor as EOS 7. I am 100% sure that this metal plate will not work with EOS 9, and I'll be showing you a side by side of the EOS 9 and EOS 7 for you to understand why it won't work with the EOS 9. The EOS 9 is much bigger than the EOS 7, and as I can see, it actually fits in this area. Fits in this area. So I don't think that this metal plate that it comes with is future proof. However, while saying that, I realized that I'm gonna show you it's a gimbal, and a gimbal can actually use in many ways. So what I did to use a GoPro on it, which might not be the size of the EOS 7, is to put the GoPro in the gimbal itself. Now, when you put the GoPro in the gimbal itself like this, remember the GoPro is not heavy, and you want to turn it into portrait mode. So I consider this more of an act. So this is an act to get your GoPro to work on it, and it will balance the GoPro and allow you to use it. However, if you realize how the GoPro is set up, I can't see the back of the GoPro. because the back of the GoPro is now basically blocked by it. But if you're using your GoPro in a more selfie fashion, mean that you're walking with it like this and you want to capture yourself, create that stability, you can definitely use it like that. Shooting forward, I guess you could turn it like this and capture, but you won't be seeing what you're capturing while you're capturing it. But this is kind of a workaround to use it with the GoPro Hero 9, because as you can see, it works, fits in it, and the GoPro Hero 9 is much bigger, so the GoPro Hero 9 should be able to fit just like how the GoPro Hero 7 fits in it. My overall view of this gimbal is that it's a good mobile gimbal. It's not simple, so it really requires some form of learning curve, but it is still a good gimbal. I have to actually show my friend how to use this gimbal when I actually give it to him, because as I say, it's a little bit more professional gimbal, even though it's for mobile, but I have to show him how to use the various steps. You have the two buttons on the front, one, whereas when you press this button, it do more like it's like a free follow. I don't remember the name of the mode, but it do a free follow thing, whereas anywhere you turn the gimbal, it follows. And as a matter of fact, if you let go the button when it's at a certain position, it actually stays in that position, so it almost lock it in that position. If you want to bring it back to home position, meaning the center, you double press the button and it brings it back to the level home position. It's a really pretty decent gimbal, and I would recommend this gimbal to anyone. If the person is not technical, you have much simpler gimbals out there that I could recommend, but this is a good gimbal. And the Zhiyun Smooth 4, really nice gimbal. Thanks for watching. I'm Shango, a creator from Jamaica. Blessings and guidance.